Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Stephen Fennell, and if you're just joining us, I'm pleased to be your host for this session featuring our design and visual art programs. And just a reminder, before I introduce our next guest, I would just like to remind you to use the chat function to ask questions, and we will respond to your questions during the Q&A portion of this session. So again, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce George Mashinter, who will start us off.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a presentation first, and then we'll get to our panel discussion where you can ask questions of our panel. Now, to begin with, what I'd like to have done is our Dean and Associate Dean are with us today, and they're going to introduce themselves and give some opening remarks. So, Bill, would you like to start?
Yeah, thanks, George. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Bill Angelakos. I'm the Dean for Technology and Visual Arts. This is one of 4 amazing academic information sessions that you have the option of joining today, Design and Visual Arts. As the Dean, I want to thank you for joining this academic session, and we look forward to answering your questions, to providing you information about our program areas, and to anything you need from us. We'd be happy to answer it at any given time. So what I'll do is I'll pass it over to Tim Korolic. Tim Korolic is the Associate Dean for Design and Visual Arts and Computer Studies program cluster areas, and he'll talk a little bit more about today. And wishing you all have a great and wonderful experience today, and look forward to the discussion. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Bill. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We're excited to have you here and have the chance to tell you a little bit more about our programs. Design Visual Arts is a diverse portfolio of programs that includes fine arts, photography, graphic design, interior design, and many other programs you're going to hear about today from our expert faculty who have helped a lot of students over the years launch careers in the community as designers, artists, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. And I think part of what sets us apart as a place to learn art and design is 3 things. Our small class sizes, which really allows you to establish a good relationship with your faculty and learn from them directly in a smaller class atmosphere. Fully equipped studios with some of the latest technology and industry standard tools. And also the people. I think that is the real differentiator. In addition to being industry experts, our faculty are amazing teachers and are excited to be sharing some more information about our programs with you today. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to you, George.
Great, thank you, Bill, and thank you, Tim. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about our design and visual arts programs, give you a little bit of an overview of them, and then following that, we can go ahead and introduce our panel and have a discussion and answer some of your questions. Now, to begin with, our first program, Art and Design Fundamentals, it's a 1-year certificate. So if you're someone who's interested in some design and visual arts, but you're not sure exactly what area you'd like to specialize in, this is a great program for you. You get to experiment with all different types of art and visual design, including sculpting, painting, drawing, jewelry and metals, as well as graphic design and photography, and decide which area you might want to specialize in. So that's the 1-year certificate. Next, we have our fine arts programs. So we have a 2-year diploma in fine arts, and we have a 3-year advanced diploma. And then once you graduate from those programs, you can also go on to take one of our grad certificates in museum and gallery studies. Our grad certificates are 1-year programs. We also have graphic design programs, 2 of them, graphic design production, which is a 2-year diploma, and graphic design, which is our 3-year diploma. Now, if you like to express your creativity through your hairstyle, then we have a really popular program, which is a 1-year diploma, and that's our hairstyling program. We also have a couple of programs in interior decorating, as well as interior design. So if you're someone like myself who spends hours watching renovation shows on television, and you're very interested in that particular area, our 2-year interior decorating program might be for you, or we also have the 4-year Honors Bachelor of Interior Design with a co-op. Now, we also have a grad certificate in those programs, and that specializes in kitchen and bath design. And again, that's a 1-year program. Then we have our Jewellery and Metals program. So if you find yourself very interested in designing jewelry and producing it, this is a wonderful 2-year diploma program. And then again, it has a grad certificate in goldsmithing for a year after that. And then we have our 2-year photography diploma. Now, I should mention that all of our programs, except for a few of them, are on our main campus at 1 Georgian Drive in Barrie. But our graphic design programs, graphic design production, graphic design, and our photography program are located at a newly renovated facility called our Design and Digital Arts Center, and that's located in downtown Barrie, just blocks away from the beautiful waterfront. So that gives you a brief overview of our programs, and you already heard Tim mention what makes some of our programs special. I also wanted to add a little bit to that. We also have some wonderful facilities in terms of our campus gallery. So we have regular exhibitions there and artist talks. It's also a place where you get to display your work. We have annual grad show and scholarship show, which allows you again to display your work not only to the community, but also to industry members who often come to these shows to recruit employees. In terms of our connection with the industry, all of us maintain really close connection with the industry and industry associations, and that provides you as a student lots of opportunities to go to industry events, including trade shows, as well as exhibitions, and to get to network with those industry professionals and provide opportunities for you in the future. Now that I've done a summary of the programs that are available, what I'd like to do is to have each member of our panel introduce themselves and just mention what program they're representing. And then after that, we'll open it up to answer your questions. So Janice, do you want to start?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, George. So I am a faculty in the graphic design program, and I'm a graphic designer myself, and really truly enjoy my job as faculty, and looking forward to hopefully meeting you and, of course, answering some questions.
Thank you, Janice. Amy's up next.
Amy, we're not getting audio from you. Maybe we can come back to you in a minute.
Okay, let's go on. And Paula, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paula Bailey, and I have been working in the field of interior decorating and design for over 20 years. About 11 years ago, I started sharing my passion for decorating with Georgian College students as an educator. And then a couple of years ago, they let me be coordinator of the interior decorating program. I'm actually a graduate myself of Georgian College, and I get to be a part-time coordinator, educator, while still working in the field of interior decorating and design. Today, I am here to answer your questions about the interior decorating program. As well, I hope to provide some insight into the Honors Bachelor of Interior Design degree and the Kitchen and Bath Postgrad Certificate. The Interior Decorating Program is recognized by the DDA, which is the Designers and Decorators Association of Canada. Many of our grads have gone on to work in a variety of workplaces, such as showrooms, staging. We even have a couple of set decorators. So lots of students go on to take the postgrad kitchen and bath program after they finished in interior decorating. And then the kitchen and bath program is the only dedicated program in Ontario, and they are affiliated with the National Kitchen and Bath Association. The Honors Bachelor of Interior Design is recognized by the Association of Interior Designers of Ontario and by the Interior Designers of Canada. Many students in this program have won ARITO awards, and you can find all the portfolio requirements for this degree program on the Interior Design Program homepage. Thank you, George.
Thanks, Paula. Davina, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. My name is Davina Hooper. I am faculty in the hairstyling program. We are really excited to answer any questions that you guys have for us today in regards to our diploma or apprenticeship program. Yeah, nice to meet y'all.
Great, thanks, Davina. And Amy, would you like to introduce yourself again?
Amy, we're still having no audio. I see that you are unmuted, but we're getting no audio stream from you.
Okay, maybe we'll come back.
Back to you, George.
Great, thank you. Maybe we'll come back to Amy and have her introduce herself again once her audio's straightened out. So Steve, do you want to start filtering us questions that we can answer?
Absolutely, George. That was a great overview, and you guys do a wonderful job in the design and visual art program area. Our first question that's come up is ladies looking to know whether or not a MacBook is the preferred computer for the interior design program.
Okay, Paula, would you like to answer that one?
Absolutely. So generally at this point, we don't really recommend MacBooks as the preferred computer because they don't communicate well with AutoCAD, which is a big part of what the interior design program uses. So at this point, I would recommend a PC, and all of the requirements for the PC are on the homepage for both interior design and interior decorating program.
Thanks, Paula. That's good to know. Next question, George, is for the interior design and interior decorating courses, will there be an option to do it online fall of 2021 or even part-time?
Okay, Paula, I think you're up again.
Me again. Okay, so for the interior decorating program, we do have the option of a part-time pathway, so you can do the interior decorating 2-year diploma in 4 years through part-time studies. At this point, the Honors Bachelor of Interior Design does not offer itself as a part-time degree, and neither of the courses would typically be online. Of course, we are right now because of COVID. We do have in the interior decorating program a couple of online courses. So those students wishing to start out part-time can certainly look into those courses online first and then transition to in-person instruction at the college. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Paula. That's great. Next question has come up. Can you talk about the mix of hands-on and academic mix of these programs?
Sure, that's a great question. I can answer that one. I would say probably about 80 to 90% of the time you're going to be in a hands-on environment. So we've got wonderful labs, studios, workshops, and really we are doing project-based learning, and you're learning practical skills from day one that you're going to use in the industry. That's not to say that there's not some lectures and theory and classroom activity, there is, but we really do focus on the project-based hands-on learning for all of our courses.
Here's another question, George. What types of materials will I require for the design and visual arts programs?
Okay, so it'll vary depending upon which program that you're going into. Is there a specific program that this person is interested in?
It doesn't say. It just says what types of materials will I require.
Okay, and that's a really good question. And what I would do is, if you're interested in finding out, I would probably contact each of the coordinators, and we will show you how to get a hold of each of the coordinators later on, and they'd be able to tell you what specifically you need for that particular program, because it does vary drastically between each of the programs.
Okay, that's good to know. Got a question that's just come in. Do these programs include co-op or work placements?
Yes, so a variety of them do. And again, I would take a look at some of the materials in there, but I can talk to you a bit about my program, and then maybe we can talk to a couple of the other panel members and see what they have to say as well. So I teach in the graphic design program, and our 3-year graphic design program has a work placement in semester number 6. So that's a 160-hour work placement. And we find that probably before our students even graduate from semester number 6, 25% of them have already attained a position from their co-op, from their work placement. And then the others, of course, continue on, and we still have a very high placement rate within 6 months. But it's amazing that our students are actually employed before they even graduate for a lot of them. So I'm going to pass it over. Why don't I get Paula to talk a little bit about work placement opportunities in the program she's representing, and then we can move on to a couple of others as well. So go ahead, Paula.
Thank you, George. So for the Honors Bachelor of Interior Design degree, there are actually 560 hours of co-op, and that takes place in semester 3. In the interior decorating program, we have 98 hours of field placement, which is in semester 4. And then in the kitchen and bath design program, there's 125 hours of field placement, and that is in second semester. So that's quite a robust field placement and co-op for those programs. And typically as well, a lot of our grads end up staying with their field placement and obtaining jobs. So it's a really great opportunity for students. Thanks, George.
Thanks, Paula. Davina, would you like to talk about workplace opportunities in your program?
Yeah, most definitely. So in the diploma program, you are not required to do a co-op, but once you are completed the program, in order to become a hairstylist, you have to do an apprenticeship. So we have many means of resources to assist the students in finding a salon to work in afterwards. We have a focus group that they're brought into at the beginning of their time at Georgian, as well as we have tons of industry leaders that are continuously asking us for recommendations from students. So when you are completed the diploma program, you're required to sign on with the ministry and complete an apprenticeship. It is completely separate, but once you complete the apprenticeship, we assist you with that side, and then you can write your final exam to become the stylist.
Thanks, Davina. Amy, do we have your audio working yet?
Sorry, that's looking like a no, Amy.
I know, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Janice, do you want to talk a bit about photography? Janice is representing not only graphic design where she teaches, but a little bit about photography today because we don't have a direct representative from that program area.
Sure. So photography is a 2-year program, and of course very hands-on. We have a beautiful, actually 2 studios. It's a large studio that can be divided into 2, available to the students, not only for their classes, but also for if they need to shoot their specific jobs, they can book the studio, the photo studio. In terms of equipment requirements, on our website, you can find out what the requirements are. The students would require an SLR at minimum or DSLR camera. And again, you can just go online and find that information on our site. And we have, of course, all the instructors, the teachers are industry people with great experience in industry as well as teaching. And I don't know if there's any other particular questions about the photo. We are located, as George mentioned, in our downtown location, which is a beautiful location.
Great, thanks, Janice. Just to follow up with a couple of things that Janice mentioned, in terms of the photography program, there is no work placement within it. The photography program is very entrepreneurial though, so they have business courses built right into the program so that you can start your own business right when you graduate. And they also have opportunities during your learning where you're actually doing shoots for clients. So that's the way that they address their work placement. I should also mention too that in our graphic design program, I mentioned the semester number 6 work placement. In semester number 5, we also do work with real clients. We create a variety of graphic design works for nonprofit agencies within Simcoe County. So many of our programs not only have work placements in them, but also give you opportunities to work and learn from real clients during your learning here at Georgian College. Steve, do you want to ask our next question?
Next question, yeah. That's great information, George. We've got someone that's really eager to be accepted, and her question is February 1st the first day to receive acceptance into the interior design program?
Paula, would you like to handle that one?
Hi there. I think that that question would actually have to be referred to Joanne Stewart because it's part of the portfolio process, and she would be better to answer that question as coordinator of the interior design program.
Just to follow up with that, just in terms of talking to coordinators, I know there are going to be some extra sessions, and on November 17th, you'll receive an email with a list of those sessions and also contact information for each of the coordinators. And all the coordinators are great. Contact them, they'll meet with you, they'll communicate with you via email if you'd like and answer all of your specific questions regarding that. And we also have a very similar process in graphic design regarding acceptance. We have a small portfolio requirement. So I know when your applications come in, there is a little bit of delay after that because we have to have your portfolios, which are digital, sent to us. We review the portfolios and score them. Then they go back to the registrar's office. So there is a little bit of a delay when you're working with portfolios as an entrance requirement. Thanks, Steve.
Okay, George, and it is a fact that February 1st is typically the deadline for application to programs, and offers are usually rolling after February 1st, and that's across the board for many of our programs. The next question that's come up is dedicated to interior design, and it says, does the interior design use Revit as well, since I know how to use Revit as of right now, but not so much AutoCAD?
Paula, do you know if that particular program in terms of interior design, if they're using Revit at all? My understanding is it's mainly AutoCAD.
That's correct. So it's actually Revit, and it is not currently part of the offerings of the interior design program. They are really strictly AutoCAD and have excellent instruction in AutoCAD. And I myself use both programs and can honestly say that AutoCAD and Revit are very closely associated. So if somebody is already familiar with Revit, they should have no trouble at all with AutoCAD. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. And I'd like to follow up on that. You know, when you enter any of our programs, many of you will probably have some computer experience. I know in our graphic design programs, oftentimes students come in with some Adobe Creative Cloud experience, whether that's Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign. But we assume that you don't, so we will start from scratch. So regardless of whether you're changing from program to program, don't worry about it. We'll help you through the process, and there's lots of support for you here. Thanks, Steve.
George, the next question we have here speaks to the pandemic, and it's a question of what's the plan to accommodate for COVID-19 precautions next year? The specific program I'm interested in is the Art and Design Fundamental Certificate.
Right. That's a really difficult question to answer at the moment. What I can basically tell you is what we're doing right now. And many of our programs, such as graphic design, which I teach in, and a few of our others, are all remote. So we're actually not doing any in-class instruction right now for those programs. Other programs within our area are doing a limited amount of face-to-face learning, obviously with lots of safety precautions in place. We know for our winter semester, we're continuing on with that process. There's been no decision made yet, I believe, for the summer semester or next fall. And usually those decisions are made partway through the semester before it, simply because the situation is changing so rapidly that it's really hard to predict what's going to happen. So that's a really good question, but a very difficult one to answer.
Yes, agreed, George. Just to add to that, students who are interested in receiving ongoing updates can either log in to Georgian and sign in to receive our accelerator, that's our monthly newsletter, as well to see the COVID update and Georgian's response on our main page, and that's updated daily. So if there are any changes there, we'll be certain to share that information. Here's another question, George. It's what PC computer would you recommend to be the most compatible with AutoCAD?
Paula, do you want to take that one on?
I'll certainly answer that, but I'll have to refer the students to, or potential students, to the interior design website. So when you go to the Georgian College main page, you can search the interior design program and up pops their homepage, and it has very specific requirements for a PC to go along with AutoCAD. So there's a number of things there talking about memory, talking about the type of the software you'd be using, etc. So I would actually defer you to look there, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula.
Thanks, Paula. And George, our next question refers to how easy it is to transfer to a bachelor's program at the university level later on, and specifically in fine arts.
In fine arts, I'm not sure whether Amy has got her sound back on, because she's the perfect one to answer that particular question. Let's check and see, and if not, I can give you a general answer to that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure she's back.
Not sure she's back. Okay. We do have articulation agreements in all of our programs, and I think there's one through Thompson Rivers for the fine arts program itself. I can't remember though off the top of my head how long it is afterwards, and I believe that one is all online. But you will see on each of our program or academic program pages that they will go over the different articulation agreements that we have. And I think for you, what would be a great idea is to get a hold of Amy in the next week or two, and she can give you some really good answers as to how long it might take and what institutions they have articulation agreements with.
Yeah, that's the best suggestion, George. And we at Georgian have a credit transfer center that's responsible for negotiating a lot of these articulation agreements, university transfers. So at last count, we had over 550 with some 50 plus institutions from around the world. So lots of opportunities there. Another follow-up question to the fine art program, and it's how competitive are the programs?
So again, without Amy on here, I think I can answer that question itself. I think most of our programs are, while they fill up, they're usually not oversubscribed. So you don't have a concern about being on a waiting list for a long period of time. So again, we do proportion sections. When they fill up, in general, we do make room for people. So I wouldn't be too concerned about not being able to get into the program itself, but that doesn't mean that you should wait on your application process either.
Good point, George. Here's a question that refers to which courses can be done online. I'm not sure, it doesn't state which program we're talking about, but it's just which courses can be done online.
Okay, so that's a really good question. So let's talk about pre-pandemic. So really our programs are developed for in-class or face-to-face learning. That's not to say that they don't have some online courses in them. For example, in our graphic design program in year 3, semester number 6, when you're out on your field placement, we do have a few online courses that you're doing while you're out on your field placement. Also in all of our programs, you're going to be taking some communications courses as well as general education courses. Those you can choose whether you want to do them online or in a face-to-face environment. So in a normal situation, most of our courses in our programs in design and visual art are in a face-to-face environment. Now in the pandemic situation, we have a mixture. So our particular program, graphic design, is being done totally remotely right now. And there is a difference between remote delivery and online delivery. So it is a little bit different. We're trying to, as best as possible in the remote situation, replicate what you would get in a face-to-face environment. Now, obviously, that's not a perfect situation, but it's certainly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I have to be honest, and our students are doing really well with it. In terms of when we do go back to hopefully a normal situation, then again, most of your courses, because they are studio-based, they are lab-based, they are workshop-based, where you're going to be using state-of-the-art equipment that is seen in industry, then you're going to be on campus for most of that.
George, our next question is asking, do we have 2+2 programs where we can earn a diploma and a degree? And I know we've touched a little bit about the articulation agreements and transfer agreement, so we may have already covered this, but I don't know if there's anything that you want to add, in particular from graphic design.
Right. Yeah, I think for most of us in the Ontario system, it's more about articulation agreements with other institutions. There's not a lot of opportunities in our educational system here where you do a 2+2 within the same institution or a 2+2 with another institution. Although in other program areas within the college, other departments, we do have more of those direct articulation agreements with institutions like Lakehead University. Within design and visual arts, all of our articulation agreements are more with external institutions where they're usually, I would say for the most part, if you do something like a 2-year diploma, you might be another, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to give you specifics on that because it's going to be different for each and every program. Sometimes you'll do a 3-year diploma in graphic design and you'll get credit for 2 years for a degree in communications. Other times you might be able to do a 3-year diploma and get almost 3 years credit for that. Because it's so institutional based, that's a very hard question to answer.
That's great, George. I've got a few questions flying in here. One, does this course include drawing and animation? And that's, again, to the fine arts.
To the fine arts.
Yeah.
I can answer, I guess, a bit of that. Yeah, absolutely. Drawing is a big part of the fine arts program, as well as art and design fundamentals. Now, from my understanding, animation is not a huge part of that particular program, and we don't have really any animation-directed courses or programs within design and visual arts. Now, I know within our graphic design program, which I teach in, we do motion graphics as one of our courses, and we do a little bit of animation related to banner advertising, but we don't strictly focus on animation that you would normally think of on television or YouTube and so on.
I love this next question, George. We have someone that's very eager. She's asking, what can I do to make my application stand out, especially for the Art and Design Fundamental Certificate that doesn't require a portfolio to apply?
Right. I wouldn't be too concerned. I mean, Art and Design Fundamentals, you just need to apply to it. There's plenty of space in that particular program. Again, as you mentioned, you don't need a portfolio. In fact, the purpose of Art and Design Fundamentals was originally created, and this is still part of it, was to be able to take this 1-year certificate and come out of it with a well-developed portfolio. So again, this particular program is directed at doing that. So I wouldn't worry too much about doing anything in advance to try to get into the program other than apply.
And George, this next question is a nice follow-up, and I think there's some overlap here. It says, do I need to have any experience to take a design and visual art program?
That's a really good question. We say what we would rather have from you is an understanding of the area that you want to go into and the types of jobs you'll be doing afterwards. And if you're very interested in that particular program, you can come in with no experience, and we are going to start from scratch and taking you to a level in which you can enter into that particular job and hit the ground running. I would say that, you know, Tim earlier on talked about Georgian's reputation as a caring environment. And I'd like to reiterate that. We really do care about you, and we care about you for your extended career. Oftentimes we'll have grads and alumni keep in touch with us and hire our current students, even though, you know, they've been out of the program for 20 years or so. They've developed their business and they just love the program so much and have a great connection with us that they know that any student that they get is going to be very well trained, particularly in our particular program in graphic design on the technical side in terms of being experts at the Adobe Creative Cloud software. So in terms of that, don't feel that you need in any of the programs that you're coming into that you need any prior experience. What you need is an interest and enthusiasm towards that area of design. And again, if you're not sure which area that is, the Art and Design Fundamentals Certificate is a great place to start. Now, we did also mention that we have grad certificates. So for the 1-year grad certificates, of course, you'll need to have already graduated from a program with a diploma or a degree in order to get into those grad certificate programs.
That's very helpful, George. Next question, and you did touch a little bit upon this, but they're asking which programs require a portfolio, and can you tell us more about the portfolio process for various programs?
Sure. And I believe there's only a couple of programs. I know our program area for graphic design, we require, and I wouldn't even call it a portfolio, it's really a sample of your work. We ask for 3 to 5 pieces of your work, and that could be drawings, paintings, sculptures, could be layouts. So maybe you were in a ComTech course or a yearbook course, and you were doing some layouts for the yearbook, advertisements, any type of those things, you can include those as well. Now, in terms of the other programs, I believe the only other program portfolio requirement is that interior design degree program. Is that correct, Paula?
Hi, that is correct. There is a selection process through portfolio, and they require 4 creative pieces plus a written document. So what they look for are perspective line drawings of a chair, perspective line drawings of an interior space or building facade, a color still life study, and a work of their choice. So it could be a 3-dimensional object or something else that the potential student has designed. And then a written document of 350 words, which describes the interest and knowledge of the interior design industry. And basically that is submitted digitally to the coordinator and the selection team at the interior design program. Thanks, George.
Thanks, Paula. And I believe those are the only 2 programs that actually have that requirement.
Very good. That's helpful. George, I know with your program, students in their senior year have the opportunity to showcase their work, and there's a lot of studio opportunities. This next question is, can I expect to be involved in hands-on studio courses? Again, they don't specify which program, but maybe you could just speak to that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Every program actually has lots of hands-on studio courses, whether you're in art design fundamentals, fine arts, where you're in the drawing and painting studio, as well as the sculpture studio. You even have a wood workshop. If you're in jewellery and metals, they have fantastic workshops in the jewellery and metals program. When you're in photography, the studio is second to none in the province. In terms of graphic design, you'll be spending a lot of time in our state-of-the-art Mac labs, where we have the most current computers and software available to you. So absolutely. And also, in terms of hairstyling, Davina, actually, do you want to talk about your facilities? Because they're quite impressive.
Yes, so we have, even during the time that we're in right now in regards to the pandemic, we are still doing face-to-face learning in our practical. We have one studio that we run in all of our wet services. We have a dry studio our dry lab, that we work in with the non-wet services. And we're actually introducing a 3rd lab, hopefully in September, that is going to be big and bright and excellent to work in. We can house up to 27 students in there, and it's an excellent learning experience where it's face-to-face and everyone gets to work hands-on. We also offer out client days, so where we do real live face-to-face learning with working on individuals within our public.
Thanks, Davina.
Thank you.
I should also mention that in terms of our fine arts program, they have a great printmaking facility as well. So if you get a chance, hopefully in the not too distant future, to visit the campus in the Helen Arch Brown Center for the Arts, you'll be able to walk around that facility and go from studio to studio, as well as go to some of the workshops that are in there, which is fantastic. And then if you get a chance to visit us again at our downtown facility, you'll be able to see those state-of-the-art Mac labs along with the state-of-art studio. I should mention that studio is so well equipped. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars in lighting equipment and photography equipment that goes along with that studio. Back to you, Steve.
All right, George, and I can just add that we have recently posted on our program pages the tours that again are provided virtually for your facility that you're talking about, the downtown location. So please, if you're interested, check that out, and it's quite informative, and you'll get to see exactly what George is referring to with respect to the amazing facilities and services. Next question I have here is it's kind of a generic question. It says, what does a typical week in a design and visual art course look like? And I think this might be a pre-pandemic, post-pandemic question for you, George.
Yes, why don't we talk about pre-pandemic? So in a normal situation, pretty well in all of your programs, you're going to be spending a lot of times in those studios. And I'll give you an example in the downtown facility. That downtown facility is open usually during the week from about 7 or 8 in the morning until 11 at night. So you have plenty of opportunities to do your work out of class in our computer labs as well as our photography studio. If you go into the Helen Arch Brownish Center for the Arts during a normal week, you'll also see a hub of activity in there with people using the painting and drawing studios. And especially if you go into the jewellery and metals workshops, there are people working there in their day and night. So it really depends. And in terms of classes, you normally have about 6 courses during the week, so that's about 18 hours a week. And then expect to spend, at least for every hour you're in class, to spend another hour or 2 out of class on your homework. So different times of the semester, you'll obviously be spending more time on homework than at other times of the semester. But as I said, you will be spending a lot of time in the facilities depending upon the program that you're in. Now, during our time of remote learning, I can talk a little bit about our program. We normally don't require all of our students to have a computer and software, since we do have those labs on campus that are fully accessible during the week. And I should mention on weekends as well, they're available, I think, from about 9 to 4 or 5 in the afternoon. But now, since we're doing remote learning, we are currently requiring all of our students to have access to a computer and the subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud software. Now, it's very difficult to tell how many hours per week they're spending in front of the computer right now, but I can tell you what mine are. Mine currently, I'm probably spending 7 days a week, about 12 hours a day during the week, and about 6 hours a day on the weekends itself. So I'm imagining they're doing the same thing at the moment. So we are in a little bit of a different situation than normally.
Yes, and I think you guys have done an amazing job to maintain the level of education that you're offering, and to pivot so quickly as you have. So kudos to you and your colleagues. George, we're nearing the end of our time here. And I would just like to announce that for those of you who would like to learn more about our photography program, we will be hosting a post-evening info session, and we encourage you to attend. Details on our post-event info sessions will be sent to you via email. And at this point, our next session will cover the Indigenous Studies and Services at Georgian, and it will begin at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those of you that are interested in that session, please be sure to join us for that. And at this point, George, I would just like to say thank you to you for all of your valuable information, and to your colleagues for their support and being a part of this panel today. So again, thank you very, very much, and we look forward to seeing students engage with your programs as a result of our efforts today.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you everyone for joining us.